John often used Airbnb to find unique accommodations that would add an extra element of excitement to his trips. On one particular occasion, he stumbled upon an intriguing listing in a remote village nestled deep within the countryside. The description boasted of a charming cottage with a rich history and breathtaking views. Intrigued by the opportunity to immerse himself in the local culture, John eagerly booked his stay. As John arrived at the village, he couldn't help but notice its eerie ambience. The mist-covered streets were lined with old, dilapidated houses, and a sense of unease hung in the air. Nevertheless, he shook off his uneasiness, reminding himself that he was in search of an authentic experience. The host, an elderly woman named Mrs. Miller, welcomed him warmly, but her eyes held a hint of sadness. The cottage itself had an undeniable charm, with its rustic wooden beams and creaky floors. However, there was an unsettling air about it that sent shivers down John's spine. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he dismissed it as his overactive imagination playing tricks on him. As the evening fell, John settled into the cozy living room, trying to shake off his uneasiness. That's when he noticed a peculiar bookshelf adorned with antique tomes. One particular book caught his attention, a weathered journal, its pages yellowed with age. Curiosity getting the better of him, John picked it up and began flipping through the pages. To his surprise, the journal contained entries from previous guests who had stayed at the cottage. The stories they shared were unsettling. Some spoke of strange whispers in the night, while others mentioned inexplicable shadows that moved on their own. John's unease grew with each passing page, and he couldn't help but wonder if there was some truth to these accounts. Unable to resist the lure of the mystery, John decided to investigate further. He reached out to Mrs. Miller, inquiring about the strange occurrences mentioned in the journal. Her eyes filled with tears as she revealed the dark secret of the cottage. Decades ago, the village was plagued by a series of unexplained deaths. The victims were all visitors who had stayed in the cottage. Mrs. Miller believed that the spirits of the deceased still lingered, seeking revenge for their untimely demise. Haunted by the chilling revelation, John found it increasingly difficult to sleep. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind outside seemed to amplify his anxiety. He wondered if he should cut short his stay and flee the cottage, but his curiosity pushed him to unravel the truth behind the haunting. Determined to uncover the secrets that shrouded the cottage, John delved deeper into the local history. He visited the village library and spent hours poring over ancient newspaper clippings and records. The more he dug, the darker the tale became. He discovered that the deaths were indeed real, and they had occurred during a period of suspicion and fear. The townsfolk, driven by paranoia, blamed the visitors for their misfortunes and accused them of witchcraft. In reality, the deaths were tragic accidents, but the fear had consumed the village, leaving a stain on its history. Armed with this newfound knowledge, John approached Mrs. Miller once again, hoping to find a way to appease the spirits and bring peace to the cottage. Mrs. Miller, although hesitant, agreed to help him. She revealed an old ritual that had been passed down through generations, believed to banish the spirits and break the curse that plagued the cottage. The ritual required an offering of remembrance, a symbolic act to acknowledge and honor the lives lost. John and Mrs. Miller gathered the necessary items and performed the ritual together. They lit candles, recited ancient incantations, and placed photographs of the victims in a ceremonial circle. As they completed the ritual, a sense of tranquility washed over the cottage. The air seemed lighter, and the once ominous presence had dissipated. The spirits, finally at rest, had found solace in the acknowledgement of their past. John stayed a few more nights in the cottage, experiencing nothing but peace and serenity. The villagers, too, seemed to lighten their burden, no longer held captive by the dark secrets that had haunted them for so long. Before leaving the village, John thanked Mrs. Miller for her guidance and the courage to confront the chilling history of the cottage. He left with a newfound appreciation for the power of remembrance and the importance of acknowledging the past. As he drove away from the village, John couldn't help but reflect on the profound journey he had undertaken. The Airbnb experience had taken an unexpected turn, leading him to face his fears and unravel a haunting mystery. The memories of his stay would forever be etched in his mind, a testament to the enduring power of history and the human spirit. And so, the cottage in the remote village continued to welcome guests, but now it carried a different aura, an aura of resilience, redemption, and the undeniable presence of the past, forever transformed by the efforts of John and Mrs. Miller. Denny was an avid traveler who loved exploring new places. His latest adventure led him to a small, picturesque town nestled in the mountains. Excited to experience the local culture, he decided to book an Airbnb for his stay. Little did he know that this seemingly ordinary booking would turn into a terrifying experience. As Denny arrived at the address provided by the host, he was struck by the beauty of the Victorian-style house. Its elegant exterior and charming surroundings made it the perfect place for a relaxing getaway. The host, Mr. Thompson, greeted Denny with a warm smile and showed him around the house. The interior of the house was just as captivating as the exterior. Each room was adorned with antique furniture and intricate decorations that reflected its rich history. Mr. Thompson explained that the house had been in his family for generations, adding to its allure. However, as Denny settled in, he couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling that lingered in the air. On the first night, Denny was woken up by a strange sound coming from the hallway. He dismissed it as an old house settling in, but his curiosity got the better of him. As he ventured out of his room, he noticed that the noise was coming from a closed door at the end of the hallway. Cautiously, he approached the door, and as he turned the knob, it swung open with a creak. To his surprise, the room was completely empty, except for an old, worn-out book lying on a dusty shelf. Intrigued, Denny picked up the book and started flipping through its pages. The words on the pages seemed to be written in a language he couldn't understand, and the illustrations depicted eerie scenes of supernatural occurrences. As Denny continued reading, he came across a passage that described a mysterious event that took place in the very house he was staying in. According to the book, decades ago, a series of unexplained disappearances had occurred, with the victims last seen entering this very room. The book hinted at a dark secret that was tied to the house's history. Haunted by the stories he had read, Denny couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. Every shadow seemed to hold a secret, and every creak of the floorboard sent shivers down his spine. He tried to convince himself that it was just his imagination playing tricks on him, but the uneasiness persisted. Desperate for answers, Denny decided to do some research about the house and its history. He discovered that the town had been plagued by a series of unsolved mysteries, including disappearances and unexplained deaths over the years. The more he dug, the more he found eerie coincidences linking these incidents to the house he was staying in. Determined to uncover the truth, Denny reached out to the local authorities, hoping they could shed some light on the mysterious occurrences. However, they dismissed his claims, attributing them to urban legends and rumors. Undeterred, Denny continued his investigation, determined to prove that something sinister was happening within the walls of the Airbnb. As the days went by, Denny's mental state deteriorated. He became paranoid, fearing every sound and doubting his own sanity. He felt trapped in the house, unable to escape the clutches of its dark history. Nightmares plagued his sleep, blurring the line between dreams and reality. Just when Denny was on the brink of giving up, he received an anonymous message. The sender claimed to have information about the house and its secrets. Intrigued yet cautious, Denny arranged a meeting at a local cafe, hoping to finally uncover the truth behind the haunted Airbnb. Denny arrived at the cafe, feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. He scanned the crowded room, searching for someone who might match the description given by the anonymous sender. Finally, he spotted a man sitting alone in a corner, discreetly observing the patrons. As Denny approached him, the man motioned for him to sit down. The man introduced himself as Edward, a former resident of the town who had also experienced the unsettling presence within the urn. He revealed that the house had a dark history, rooted in a long-forgotten tragedy. Decades ago, a notorious serial killer had used the house as his lair, luring unsuspecting victims to their demise. The disappearances and deaths that had occurred over the years were all connected to this sinister past. Edward explained that the errand host, Mr. Thompson, was the grandson of the serial killer and had inherited the house. Though Edward couldn't provide concrete evidence, he claimed to have witnessed strange occurrences firsthand during his own stay in the house. He warned Denny that the danger was very real and that he needed to leave immediately. Denny's heart raced as he realized the gravity of the situation. He thanked Edward for sharing the information and rushed back to the erm to gather his belongings. But as he entered the house, a sense of dread overwhelmed him. The atmosphere had changed. It was heavy with malevolence. It felt as if the house itself was aware of his intentions to escape. He hurriedly packed his bags, casting fearful glances over his shoulder. Just as he was about to make his way to the front door, a chilling voice echoed through the hallway. "Leaving so soon, Denny?" It was Mr. Thompson, his smile twisted into a sinister grin. Denny froze in his tracks, his mind racing. How could Mr. Thompson have known his name? Before he could react, the door behind him slammed shut, trapping him inside with the embodiment of evil. Panic surged through his veins as he realized the extent of the danger he was in. Desperate for escape, Denny sprinted through the house, desperately searching for an exit. But the rooms seemed to shift and change, disorienting him at every turn. The walls whispered malevolent secrets, and the shadows taunted him with their sinister dance. Just when Denny thought all hope was lost, he stumbled upon the room he had discovered on his first night. The book lay open on the dusty shelf, seemingly beckoning him. With nothing left to lose, he grabbed the book and began to read aloud from its pages, hoping that its ancient words held the key to his salvation. As the incantation left his lips, a brilliant light filled the room, banishing the darkness that had consumed the house. The air crackled with energy, and Denny felt a surge of power coursing through him. In that moment, he realized that the book held not only the secrets of the house, but also the means to break free from its clutches. With newfound determination, Denny channeled the energy from the incantation, willing the house to release its grip on him. The walls trembled, and the door that had trapped him swung open. Without looking back, he ran through the threshold, leaving behind the horrors of the haunted urn. As Denny made his way out of the town, he couldn't help but wonder about the countless others who had fallen victim to the house's malevolence. He vowed to share his story, to warn others about the urn that hid a dark secret. The truth needed to be exposed, and he would be the one to bring it to light. And so, Denny embarked on a mission to uncover the dark history of the haunted urn, to unravel the mysteries that had plagued the town for decades. With each step he took, he knew he was stepping closer to the truth, closer to ensuring that no one else would fall prey to the malevolent presence that lurked within those walls.